we'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we continue our sessions on Atmabodha. Shankaracharya is one of the greatest teachers of Advaita philosophy. He is regarded as an avatar of Lord Shiva. And throughout his life, he had only one goal: to teach Advaitam, to teach the reality in this universe. The same, this reality is being explained in Atmabodha in 68 verses. We have finished 51 verses so far. We are going to enter the 52nd verse today. And these verses 42 to 68, they are the concluding portion of this text, which mainly talks about what is the benefit of studying this text and what is the glory of this text. Why is it so glorious? Why is it so prominent in a person's life? Shankaracharya never fails to describe what is that reality. Again and again, he will say, what is that reality, Brahman? We will see some of the points related, the nature of that reality in today's class. So with this short introduction, we will just get into our 52nd verse, which says that though he lives in the conditionings just as the space, the contemplative one may remain like a fool. That means a Jnani, after he has gained the knowledge, he lives with his body, mind, and intellect. That is called as the conditioning. Body, mind, intellect are the conditionings. But he himself is not the body, mind, and intellect, but he is like the space. And his nature, a Jnani's nature, is being described in this verse. How does he conduct his life? Which comes in the second part of the verse. It says he's ever unconcerned with anything. That means he's not bothered whether there is sorrow or joy in this life, because he knows it is a passing phase. He moves about like the wind. The wind moves here and there in any direction, and it is always unattached to all the things which it sees or which it comes across while moving. So like the wind, this Jnani is also moving across in this universe, doing his duty. With this, we also come to know that when I get this knowledge of the higher nature, what will I be? Will I continue to do my duty? Yes, that is what is the message here. I continue to do my duty for the family, duty to myself, for the country. But there is a difference. The difference is what? I am not concerned with anything. This life for all of us, whether you are in Africa, whether you're in Japan, or whether you are in any part of the world, this life is a life of karma. Karma means action. Till the last breath, we will be forced by nature, by Prakriti, to do action. This is the case for both Jnani, a wise man, and a Ajnani, an ignorant person. Whatever you may be, you will be doing actions through the body, mind, and intellect. And what the teaching says, that the prarabdha karma, which means the karma which is attached to the body, does not leave. The actions will go on, but the attitude towards life changes. The peace, security, the strength which a Jnani gets is coming from Atmabodha. Atmabodha means by the knowledge of his higher self, that he is Brahman, he is that pure awareness principle. This knowledge helps him to change the attitude in life completely. What he was before the knowledge and what he will be after the knowledge, there are two poles apart. So now he takes the Atma as a source of peace, security, and happiness. And when he does this, this is based on understanding. There is nothing else. It's a cognitive change in the person. So this cognition that I am that Atma, I am that pure awareness, is called as Vidya Ananda. Vidya means knowledge, the happiness born out of knowledge. And this knowledge, this happiness, overshadows the sorrow which belongs to the prarabdha karma. How does this happen is explained in this example. I have quoted this example before also. During the daytime, the stars are present, but they are overshadowed by the sunlight. In the night time, the stars shine and we notice them very distinctly. But during daytime, when it's midday sun at 12 o'clock in the noon, these stars, the starlight is dimmed and we just don't even see them, we don't notice them. So similarly, the Swarupa Sukham, that means the happiness which I gain by knowing my real nature, which is an ever experienced fact. That is my eternal nature, the nature which were existing before this body was born. Normally we think that I don't exist before birth. Vedanta says you always exist. Our experience shows that after death there is no body, therefore we all believe we don't exist. Vedanta says you exist. This is the change which comes into a Jnani's life. This is a very, very big change, and we all can realize this by the study of scriptures. The scriptures are the only source for birth, for the knowledge, what happens before birth, what happens after death. The scriptures are the only source. Science has not come anywhere to understand this nature of ours, because this nature belongs to the subject I. Science always deals with the objects of the universe. So Jnani lives amongst all the people, amongst his own body, his own mind's conditions, as a result of his prarabdha, but he is not affected. When the mind suffers, it does not affect the Atma, his Swarupa. When the body is in pain, the physical pain will be experienced by the Jnani, but he will not be over concerned about it. He'll say, yes, the body is undergoing pain, like Ramana Maharshi did, like many other saints. They know that the body is suffering. They know that this body is an object of awareness. Like space is not, it accommodates everything, but it is not affected by anything. The awareness principle in us is our real nature. It does not get affected by the pains of the body, by the sorrows in the mind, by the joys in the mind. It does not get a wee bit affected. So Jnani does not show that he has this knowledge. He just lives. He's happy, contented, fulfilled in his life as pure awareness principle, pure consciousness principle. He goes beyond the gunas of raga, dvesha. Raga means attachment, dvesha means aversion. These two are caused because of the ignorance of Atma. Therefore, when he has total control over his mind, he gets total control of his own Atma Ananda. So the essence of this whole verse, in short, it means that a Jnani is one who is attached to Atma, who is not attached to the body or mind as his nature. Then the next verse also talks about the benefit. And how does this happen? How does this benefit happen? Upadhi, upon the dissolution of upadhis, upadhi means medium of transaction. Body is a medium of transaction, is an instrument for transaction. Mind is also an instrument of transaction. For those who have done Atmabodha, we know that we consist of original consciousness, we consist of reflected consciousness, which comes in the body, mind, and intellect, and then the instruments of transaction, which is the body, which is the mind, which is the intellect. So these are the upadhis, these are the mediums through which the jiva, the soul in this body, it transacts with the world. Now, at the end of this knowledge, what happens to that soul? The soul realizes that it is that Atma or Brahman. It merges with that, the reflection in this body merges with the original. And then he drops the body, mind, and intellect intellectually, only in understanding. Shankaracharya gives 3 examples for this. He says, like a river water merges into ocean, like pot space merges into total space, the light of one bulb merges with the light of the other bulb. Similarly, the ego I, the notional I, the jiva, which thinks it is the mind, that I comes to realize that it is not the jiva which is attached to the mind, but it is the jiva which is a reflection of pure consciousness. This happens through knowledge of the scriptures. And it is not suddenly you will have this, it is a gradual process. Freedom, moksha, means that we are not connected, we are not affected by our prarabdha karma, which belongs to the body-mind complex. So like a lamp which is glowing and which goes off as soon as the oil dries up, similarly, this mind, after its karmas are over, this body-mind complex, after the oil of karma is over, it will drop the body and then it will merge with the consciousness principle. So for a jnani, the body and mind together, they merge with the total consciousness, which is attributeless and without any duality. This is a very important point, which again and again Shankaracharya brings about, that in Atma or Brahman, there is no duality. It alone is. That is the final conclusion of the scriptures. It alone was in the beginning, before creation of the whole universe. It alone is while the creation is on, and it alone will be when the whole creation dissolves. So what happens to us? The jiva, which was attached to the body, it also realizes that pure nature of consciousness. There is no more rebirth once the three mediums and the three bodies are resolved. This is again explained by the scriptures, that is, there is no rebirth. There is no other pramanam for this. There is no other source of knowledge that there is rebirth, there is no rebirth. The source is only the scriptures. And because we have faith in the scriptures, we also accept that, yes, I don't have rebirth, so that I can avoid any sorrows which are connected with the body or mind. So these are the benefits of the knowledge. Once again, from the verse number 54 to 61, it is not 54 and 55. 54 and 55 are the major verses, but this knowledge of Brahman again starts and it goes on till the verse number 61. So what Shankaracharya again does is, he has told us the benefit of Jeevan Mukti, that means the merger of the jiva with the consciousness principle, the total consciousness principle. Now again, he is telling us how to realize this Brahman, how to realize this pure consciousness, this pure awareness principle, which is a common thing between me, the individual body, jiva, and which is common with the entire universe. How do I realize this? He says that to realize Brahman, after realizing Brahman, what happens is there is nothing else more to be attained in life. And not only attained, nothing to be known also. See, people are generally very curious to know, I want to know this, I want to know that, I want to visit that country, this country, and so on and so forth. So he says that this knowledge, one of the ways by which we can know that we have realized our true nature is that I don't have any other goal in life. My only goal was, the real goal was moksha, the freedom from sorrow. I have attained that. Dharma, which is doing duty. Artha, which is earning money. Kama, which was enjoying the pleasures of the universe. All these three, which were cause for sorrow, that gets dropped off as an appearance, as a lower order of reality. And what is moksha? Moksha is the real nature of mind. So with this nature, the entire goals, other goals become subservient. That means they are not dominant. The goal has been achieved. Therefore, the perseverance by which we were following up for doing, for earning, for enjoying the pleasures, that gets reduced. Brahman is only infinite thing which is unaffected by time, because there is no time in Brahman. Everything else gets affected. Everything else in Jagrat Avastha is in time, but what is not in time is this nature, higher nature. All worldly activities for becoming that Brahman, that pure Ananda, which is called as Atma Ananda. Ananda means happiness. What we get through the products of this world is only Vishaya Ananda. It has novelty but no reality. Vishaya means objects. All objects and beings in the universe, they give us happiness, no doubt, but they are not real. Why we say they are not real? Because they are transient, they are temporary. They are there for some time and the happiness goes away. After some time you enjoy something and then it goes away. Therefore, they say that Vishaya Ananda, the objects, the happiness from the objects is temporary, transient, whereas the knowledge of Atma, the pure awareness principle, it gives us continuous joy because it ever is. It is eternal. Scriptures also say that the entire material knowledge is a version of self-ignorance. That means I don't know myself. Therefore, I try to get the knowledge of the world. The knowledge of the world is a misconception rather than. Therefore, it is called as therefore, it is called as ignorance. Any experience of the body and mind, because it is finite in nature, it is limited. And anything which is limited can give only limited joy. So this verse in essence tells us that a person who is a Jnani, who has understood what the nature of Brahman, the nature of Brahman indicated here is Atma Ananda. That means it is ever free from the sorrows of the body, mind, intellect, or the universe. There is no, because in that pure awareness principle, it is always joy. It is pure bliss. That is why we say Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So from this verse onwards, from 54th onwards, that last portion, that Brahma Deva Avadharayet. So this portion is repeated till verse number 61. So here Shankaracharya repeats this verse. What it means know that Brahman to be your own self. Avadharayat means hold on to that Brahman as your own nature. So he repeats again and again. If you see here again, the same verse will come, the same ending will come. This knowledge you hold on to. In this 55th verse, he says, after seeing this Brahman, seeing means not physically seeing, it means after knowing this Brahman, one is not born again in this world. That means there is no change for him. He is attached to he is attached to the changeless principle. There's nothing more to be known means this whole world is just a superimposition on that one awareness principle. Therefore, there is nothing else to be known. He knows the truth of this entire universe and this body-mind complex. Because Kaivalya Upanishad says that the whole universe comes from that Brahman, it exists in that Brahman, and it dissolves into that Brahman. This is the truth which is expressed in the Upanishads. And that is what Shankaracharya is summarizing in all these verses up to 61. Nothing more to see, nothing more to know, because I know Atma. Therefore, I am not born again, because all my needs, all my desires in my mind have been fulfilled. In the scriptures, they say that we are born again and again because of our desire. Just like we know all the ornaments by knowing one gold, we know the entire creation by knowing one Atma. Because Atma is the cause, is a causeless cause for this entire world of names and forms. Our struggles in life are always to be different than what we are today. For example, if I'm a bachelor, I want to get married. If I'm married, I want to become a father. I want to have a child. If I have a child, I want to get her married. Then I want to become grandfather. So this way, what happens is, a student wants to become educated, then he becomes an earning member, and then he gets married. So every day we are always looking forward to something. I want to do this, I want to become this, I want to. So what here, once this spiritual knowledge comes, what happens is one does not become anything, because he knows that he is always this awareness principle. I'm at home with my own self. There is no sorrow at physical, emotional, or at intellectual levels, or because of this fulfillment. The next verse says, it talks about the nature of this reality. It says that it is non-dual reality. Non-dual means it alone is eternal. Eternal means not affected by time. And again it says, realize this to be your own nature. I'm not one of the things in creation, but I am the cause, the awareness principle, which is the cause of this entire creation. I am pervading all the sides of creation. Because you see, again and again, we must remember that Shankaracharya reminds us that we are not the body. The moment we drop our body, we are automatically with the awareness principle. And what is awareness principle? It is all pervading principle. If it's all pervading and if it is not affected by time, it is eternal. So this is how we must understand. And how does this whole change happen? Exactly like how a dreamer, he wakes up and he says that nothing in the dream was existing. It was just an appearance. What happens is, when we wake up to this pure consciousness principle, we can also say, whatever I have experienced, for example, today you've woken up. You can say all my past 60 years of my life was just a dream. It was just an appearance. It came and it went off. Where did it come and go? It came in my consciousness. It went off in my consciousness. Nothing remains of that experiences anymore for me. It is just a memory. And that memory is what? It's a very small trickle of what we have experienced in our whole life. Trickle, very small portion remains as memory. And where has all this gone? It's gone into the same Atma, into the same awareness principle. Who is the changeless being in this body? It is this Atma. I know there is something which has not changed in me. but I don't know what it is. The scriptures are trying to tell us this is what it is, pure consciousness. So realize this pure awareness principle, which never changes. It's very difficult for us to comprehend this initially, but as we listen to this more and more in different forms, in different texts, our mind slowly drops off its inhibitions, its obstacles, its agitations, its desires. And once when they drop off, what happens is this knowledge of Brahman shines by itself. The self-evident Brahman or the self-evident Atma in us becomes known. The next verse, it says that this is not only changeless, it is like the anvil. It is a substratum and it is divisionless. These are the features of this Brahman. They are not the real features, but they are indicators. See, in the world, we always see division between me and the world, between my hand and my leg. We see differences between person to person. But in awareness consciousness principle, there's no division. And this division in the scriptures, they describe very beautifully. They say there are three types of divisions. One, sajatiya bheda. Sajatiya bheda means what? Tree and a tree. A stone and a stone, there is a sajati. Jati means it is the same species. One dog and another dog. One human being, another human being. There is a sajatiya bheda. There is a difference between different human beings. So that is one type of difference. But in consciousness, there is no second consciousness. Consciousness is ekam. Ekam means one. There is only one consciousness. Therefore, understand that in that consciousness, you can never see the difference. This is called as sajatiya. Jati. Remember the jati? Remember the tree to tree, animal to animal. Difference exists between two cows, two trees, two birds, two human beings. Then the second difference is called as vijatiya. Vijatiya means two species which are different. That means between a bird and man, there are differences. So between a stone and a tree, between two species, there are always differences. Two different species. Then, but because there is no two consciousness again. There is no vijatiya bheda. That means that is why we must understand the oneness in Brahman, oneness in this entire world. Exactly like there is oneness in the sunlight. Light all across the globe is one light. Similarly, there is one awareness principle. The third difference which the scriptures point out is swagata bheda. Swagata means the difference in oneself. For example, our body, there is different parts are there. There is my hand is not my leg is not my face is not my stomach. So there are different parts to a tree. In a tree, you have leaves, you have fruit, you have trunk, you have branch, you can have so many things. But in consciousness, there is no parts. So these three differences, the scriptures say it does not exist in that pure Atma. Therefore, your Atma and my Atma is the same. The consciousness by which you are aware of this body, the consciousness by which I am aware of this body is the same, one principle. The same consciousness is there also existing because it's all pervading. Anywhere, any human being, if he's there, he's observing his body. The seer of the body is one. The seen is many. Seer is one, seen is many. This is what we'll be studying very, very much in detail in our next text for study called as Drishya Viveka. So coming back to this text here, what we are saying is that this consciousness principle is one principle, it's indivisible, it cannot be divided at all, and it is blissful. That is why we say it's divine. This consciousness principle is divine. Pure happiness, without a tinge of sorrow. The sorrow exists in the minds of human beings. It does not affect Atma at all. That is what is said in this verse. It is the substratum from which the entire universe comes. For example, when we wake up in the morning, all of us, we feel we have come from somewhere. We have come from sleep, no doubt. But what we were experiencing in sleep was this Brahman. How come I didn't know this? The scriptures teach us this. That experience of ours, from where we are coming into every day into this waking state, again we go back to sleep, again we wake up next day morning, again we go back to sleep. This is happening for years and decades and life after life of the body and mind. But that consciousness principle does not change. That is what is being is a very powerful verse. These are very good verses for noting them down and then meditating, contemplating on these points so that our mind becomes firm with this knowledge. That process is called as nididhyasana. That means it is a process by which I take these points, I rotate them in my mind, and then I see the meaning of it as my own nature. This is what we try to do even in our meditation sessions. That is why it is called as Vedantic meditation. Normally, we also say that in the Tarka Shastra, in the logic of the science of logic, they say that differences come because of guna, jati, kriya, sambandha, and rudhi. These are just Sanskrit names. What it means is differences are there in substances because of guna. Guna means the properties. Red color, blue color, that's a guna. Therefore, there is a difference in product to product. Similarly, jati. Because there is a difference between two jatis, two species, there will be differences because intrinsically they are different. Kriya means function. A driver is a teacher, driver, a mechanic. I mean, all the people, a pilot. All these have different functions. So, in order to indicate the functions, we coin different words. Again, they will show, they represent differences, bheda. Then relationship. Relationship means mother-daughter, son-mother, then wife-husband. These are all relationships. So differences come about because of relationships, because of jati, because of property, because of functions, and popularity. Popularity, you can say that something is very popular, therefore you give it a separate name. Okay, so no word can describe Atma because there is nothing there are no features in Atma. All these are features. Sambandha, kriya, jati, guna, they are all features of some of these substances in the world, objects in the world. beings in the world. But there are no differences in Atma. Therefore, one of the methodologies which our scriptures follow to reveal this nature of ours is neti neti. Neti neti means what? This is used in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. 4 or 5 times it comes in that Upanishad. And it says, try to tell in your own mind, I am not this. I am not this. Suppose a thought arrives in your mind in meditation. Just tell yourself, this thought is coming and going, I'm not this. What you are, don't say. Just say, I am not this. Neti, na iti, na iti. This way, we will reach the core of our personality. There are 3 philosophers in the Indian scriptures. One is called as Shankaracharya. On the right hand side, he said this whole universe is Advaita. What the scriptures are teaching us is non-dual philosophy, and he strongly believed that there is no difference in the consciousness between me and the God who is a creator. Therefore, we are one. And that is what we are studying in our sessions. All our sessions are based on Advaita. Non-dual, there is no 2 things. Ultimately, everything is one. That is all we should simply understand. And what is that one? That is pure consciousness or pure existence. Then there was another philosopher in India, Madhavacharya. He always said that how can you say God and me are one? He says the God and me can never be one. They are the creator and created can never be one. It has to be 2. They are always separate. That is called as Dvaita principle. So here, Shankaracharya, he has debated with these Dvaitins and he has won over them. Therefore, we accept Advaitam is to be true, is the reality. There is another principle which is called as Visishta Advaitam, which is followed by Ramanujacharya. These are all great acharyas, great teachers. They looked at the same Bhagavad Gita, they looked at the Indian Upanishads, and they arrived at their own conclusions. And he said that scriptures are telling us that we are always part of the God, but we are not equal to God. We are part. So we are dasoham. Dasoham means we will always have to serve God. What Shankaracharya says is, yes, but that will not give you moksha. Moksha will come only when you understand the pure one consciousness principle, which is the base on which this entire universe is coming and going back. All this I'm explaining because this verse deals with Bheda. This verse deals with the Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata, Bheda. So, Brahman or the pure consciousness is one in which there is no division at all. That is the essence of this 57th verse. Then the next verse describes Brahman as bliss, pure happiness. And everything else in the universe is just a small particle of that bliss, because it is only reflected in that object or being. This Ananda, that means this happiness of Atma, has no gradation, but the reflected happiness in an object has gradation. Priya, Moda, Pramoda. Priya means what? I like, it's good to have an ice cream today. So this knowledge comes in your mind. So that reflection of consciousness in this thought, Priya thought, is one type of Ananda. I would like to cook this today. It is Priya. Priya, that means it's a vritti. It's a thought. Then the same thought changes its form. I go and buy an ice cream. So my Ananda is increasing. It takes a different shape. That different form of Ananda, that vritti changes, the thought changes, and that is called as Moda, Moda Ananda. This comes in Taittiriya Upanishad, where the grades of different Ananda in different lokas are described based on this gradation. Priya, Moda, and Pramoda. Pramoda means what? Ice cream has been bought but not kept in the fridge. Ice cream is now in my mouth, and I'm enjoying that. That bliss, whatever you may call it, it's coming from again a thought. Oh, I'm relishing this beautiful dish. So that is called as pramoda. And what Shankaracharya says in his commentary on Taittiriya Upanishad is, all these are thoughts. Vritti born ananda. Vritti is a thought which rises in all our minds, and then that particular thought gets a reflection of consciousness, and then we experience joy. It's a very deep psychological subject to understand. And initially, when I was studying Vedanta, I could never understand this particular topic. But later on, when I started learning more and more, then this became very, very clear. This can happen with any object or person in life. Suppose you like a person, Priya. That means that the first thing is, I would like to be with my friend. So that is one type of joy. Then the person comes nearer to me. Oh, then that joy is called as moda. My son has come in the airport. I see him outside. That is called as moda. And then he is near me and I have hugged him. That is called as pramoda. So you can compare your joys of this world into these three categories. What happens to the Ananda of Atma? There are no three categories. It's unfluctuating Ananda. Awareness principle, if you keep on telling yourself, I am that pure consciousness awareness principle, which is an eternal principle, which exists, which is pure by nature, what happens to our mind is, it gets the knowledge of Atma. At the same time, it also experiences the bliss of Atma. Chandogya Upanishad, the 7th chapter, also talks about this Ananda as Bhuma. So just to complete this slide, this Ananda of the objects is subject to loss, but Atma Ananda is eternal. In Bhagavad Gita also, in the 3rd chapter, 17th verse, Lord Krishna says that the person who rejoices in the self, who is satisfied with the self, is content in the self alone. And for him, there's nothing more to be done in life, because he has got fulfillment in life. In Chandogya Upanishad, 7th chapter, Sanat Kumara, the Guru, teaches Narada and says that that which is the infinite source of happiness is called as Bhuma. Bhuma means it is infinite. It is timeless. And everything else in this universe is Ananda, which is born out of time. But it is finite. Then Narada says, I want to know more about this Ananda. Then the Lord then the Sanat Kumara's teacher says, that in which you don't see anything, that in which you don't hear anything, that in which you don't think about anything, that is your nature. Very beautiful two verses in Chandogya Upanishad. Today we are going to see it in meditation, our meditation session also. Chandogya Upanishad is a very well-written Upanishad. And so here what it says is all happiness are manifestation of one Satchit Ananda Atma. The 59th verse, it says all objects are pervaded by Brahman. Also, all actions are possible because of that Brahman. That means all the organs of action are controlled by that light of consciousness. And like you find butter which is inherent in a milk, this is an example in this verse. Similarly, that Brahman or the light of consciousness is pervaded or is inherent in everything which is there in universe. By an appropriate process, we can separate the butter and milk. Similarly, we can, by inquiry, vichara, can separate Brahman or that pure awareness principle from this body, mind, and the universe. In Drigdrishya Viveka, there is a verse which says, Asti Bhati Priyam Rupam. That means in this universe, there are 5 things. What are they? Asti. Asti means existence. It exists. For example, we say the tree exists. The building exists. I exist. The other person, my neighbor exists. Everything is existing. So existence is common factor in the entire universe. Bhati. Bhati means consciousness, awareness. So I can see, I can be aware of anything in this universe. So what is common in all of the universe is consciousness. Asti Bhati Priyam. Priyam means there is dearness, there is Ananda in anything in this world, there is Ananda. But to me, it may not be Ananda. But to somebody else, it may be Ananda principle. So these 3 principles, Asti Bhati Priyam, belongs to Atma. I put the arrow till here. This arrow should stop here. This arrow, Atma arrow should go on till this Ananda. Asti Bhati Priyam belongs to Atma, which is like the screen of the universe. And the Nama and Rupa, they are changing with reference to every object or being. They are anatma. They are like the movie on a TV screen. So what it says is that this universe has existence, consciousness, and bliss as the substratum. And the same idea is conveyed in Mundaka Upanishad also, another text. It says that Brahman or that consciousness, awareness principle is everywhere. It's below, it's above, it's at the back, it's at the right, it's at the top, it's at the left. All this world is nothing but that one principle. Then the 60th verse, realize that to be Brahman, which is neither, again, it is giving us some indicators about knowing this reality. It says it is not gross nor subtle. It is not long or short. It is without birth. Very important point, it has no birth. It is without attributes. And it doesn't have a color or a name. This idea is borrowed from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, this particular mantra, which says the same thing in a different form. What Shankaracharya done is he has just condensed this whole mantra into this short 2 lines. Atma is not big or small. Big or small belongs to the objects which are finite. But something which is all pervading, you can't call it big, you can't call it small. Similarly, you can't call it short, you cannot call it long. Anything finite in this universe which is a seen object can have these features. It can get destroyed, it can have a color, it can have a name, but in that Atma, there is none of these features. And therefore, we cannot use any of the laukika shabda. Laukika shabda means any of the normal words which we use, we cannot use that for Atma. We have to use the Shastric words. And the Shastric words means the words of the scriptures. So the only proof for Atma is the scriptures. The last verse in this category, I will finish this and we'll stop here. That by which light the whole sun and the moon are illumined. We have seen this verse, na tatra suryo bhati. The same verse is repeated here from Mundaka and Kathopanishad. But that which is not illumined by that light, realize that to be Brahman. That means it is subject principle, it is not an object. So the light of awareness illumines sun and moon, but the sun cannot illumine the awareness principle. We light one lamp at home and then the whole house becomes a temple of the Lord. Early in the morning when we light up a lamp in our house, what we are saying is, I light a lamp and make my whole house a temple of Bhagavan. That is why after the bath, we generally light a lamp. Normally, light is defined in the Shastras as something which makes things known. For example, the examples are sun, moon, fire, lightning, our own sense organs like the organ of eyes, ears, tongue, all this, they give us the knowledge of something. So whatever gives the knowledge is called as the light. The mind is also giving us the light because it is the light in which the entire sense organs function. Now, the last one is Brahman. Brahman is that awareness principle in which all these functions. Without that Brahman, there is nothing. None of this whole universe exists. They are all coming and going, appearing and disappearing. But this is the light which is permanent light. It ever exists and it never goes out. Just now I talked about this Natatazru Surya Bhati from Kathopanishad. This is the verse I've quoted here. The same idea is also conveyed in Bhagavad Gita. In the 13th chapter, Jyotisham abhi jyotihi tamasa paramuchyate jnanam neyam jnanagamyam riddhi sarvasya nishtitam. That means it is the light of all lights and in which there is no darkness. It illumines darkness, it illumines knowledge, it illumines ignorance. Very important point in our study we should keep in mind. This light of Brahman is the light in which we have the entire knowledge of the universe. At the same time, it is this light which makes this universe disappear for us in our sleep. And in sleep, we have ignorance of the universe. That ignorance of the universe in sleep is illumined by this light of consciousness. So these two verses from the one from Bhagavad Gita, one from Kathopanishad, they are fantastic verses for reaching our own self. Keep this at the back of your mind or just write them in a small notebook, which I have told all the people who are very seriously studying Atma Vidya. Keep a notebook in which you can note some of these verses from the scriptures and write down there Kathopanishad, this verse, Gita, this chapter, this verse, so that you can reflect on them whenever you have the time or when you sit in meditation. Ena sarvam idam bhati. That means only after that I am consciousness, the self-evident consciousness shines, then the mind shines, the sense organs shine, and then the whole universe shines for each being. With that, the descriptions of up to 61 where sarvam idam vibhati is said, everything is light, where it is also said that tat brahma avadharayet. This finishes in this 61st verse. 62nd verse to 68. 7 verses. We will continue next week on next Saturday. Most probably we will finish next Saturday the text called as Atmabodha. And let's see how it goes. These verses, they go, and then if time permits, I will probably do a revision of this text itself. And I can take some questions and answers on this particular text. If we have time limit available, then we'll start with the next text, which is called as Dvigdrishya Viveka. So next week, we will complete this text called as Atmabodha.